Thank you very much and welcome everyone to World's Cooldown, where we will look back on the teams that prevailed through play-ins and predict how they'll perform in groups before we call it a night. Just some final words maybe on that best of five. We saw GRX makes it in the end, but it was hard fought.
Yeah, I mean, this was, I think, the most evenly matched. I think other games might have gone back and forth more, but these were like closer, it felt like in gold, where it wasn't like a 6K gold lead that one team wins and the next game someone gets 6K.
Yeah, and I felt like two teams really learned something. I thought Supermassive got much better drafts. The two players really came out shining. I thought Fabulous looked a lot better going out of the series. And then if you look towards GRX, I really did like the fact that their team fights got much better. PK was a standout for me alongside Sketch, so I really like the team fighting there.
Yeah, I definitely feel like Candy underperformed a little bit, I think, because I was expecting more from him out of GBM, and GBM did a really good job, so not to take away from Candy.
No,
I just thought he would have done a little bit better with Empty, and they ended up not being nearly as much of a focal point as the bottom lines.
Yeah, unfortunately for TCL and for Supermassive, they are out. GRX is in. As said, we will go over to the group draw in just a little bit, but I thought let's spice things up before we get there. So I asked my analysts to make a power ranking of the teams that advanced out of the play-ins. 1, 2, 3, 4. Simple enough. But let's see if there are some interesting opinions, and I feel like Raz will have some. So show us your ranking.
What you got?
Oh, perfect. So for me, I have #1 being Edward Gaming. That one seems very obvious.
Ooh.
GRX coming in at second. I felt like they already had the stronger players. They just had to prove to me that they are better team fighters as well. Their team fighting really proved it for me today, going up against really tough opponents in Supermassive as well. Then I had Cloud9. And then G2 Esports. I thought both teams really underperformed in their own series. I thought G2 had great talent in the top side. Both Jankos and Wonder really sold it for me, but for Cloud9, I thought there was more direction in their team fighting.
Does this mean directly you equate this with EDG will have the most success going into groups, GRX the second most, C9 more, and then G2 the least?
Yes, but remember they're being put in different groups. But congratulations, C9. You got yourself the third place out of the 4, but I think they had the hardest group out of everyone.
And they also end up in the hardest one.
I don't hate Raz's ranking. I thought that was very kind to C9.
So what changes do you have? Let's take a look at Mark's.
All right, let's see what they do with mine. I had a couple interesting selections. There we go. That's what I had. So yeah,
I like this.
EDG by far the best team in play-ins. They look like a team that could actually get out of one of the groups they're getting placed in. I feel like the other 3 are going to have a really, really, really tough time getting out.
How come you were so different and then you're thinking, like, because it's completely opposite of what Raz had for the bottom 3?
So for me, G2 has a consistent power point in Wonder that, like, I feel like he is the best Western top laner and can go toe-to-toe, it feels like, against some of the best Eastern top laners, Korean, Chinese, whatever it is. And so I have a lot of faith in that, and I think that they can figure... It feels like everyone here is still figuring out their drafts, and it's nice that they had this extra bit of playing time that maybe they can go in a little bit more prepared. But having a consistent, skill-wise PowerPoint that matches up is really impressive to me, whereas I felt like GRX and C9 don't really have anyone that, like, when you're talking, like, top 20 worlds lists, you know, I don't think they really have anyone on them, to be honest.
But for the rest, you think they're pretty close? I mean, the GRX, maybe we had expected them to come out a bit more convincing today. I think even though as the series went on, they definitely found their strengths.
Right, yeah, and so we have GRX and G2 completely flipped with C9 third in the middle. I think what's making C9 weird for us is, like, the drafts were so random a little bit, where it's like they're just not taking Kai'Sa all of a sudden and picking Draven Thresh when Kai'Sa's up. So that was hard for me, but, like, I didn't see the explosiveness I was expecting to see out of GRX. It felt like they really struggled to find definitive plays.
You know what? But that's a really good subject already, and what people rely on going into a larger main stage. Where you look towards a very direct strength in Wonder, and I think that Wonder is going to perform very well going up against the top-tier talents, perhaps in either Group A or Group C, wherever he gets drawn in. But the team play that I saw from GRX, I think, is going to prove not devastating. I think that teams are going to have to, like, they're going to be able to deal with it. But it should make them competitive if they once they get put into Group D.
I would agree that G2 might have had the worst team play that I saw and relied very heavily on brute forcing those games through. But I think they also have a lot of things that they can improve on, whereas, like, I don't know GRX's ceiling, which is what concerns me.
I think that's a good point. We do have a little more time before we get over to the draw, so just maybe as an end overview of the play-ins, a viewer might look at this and say, hey, all the major regions, or the regions that were expected to advance, advanced in the end. And I'm inclined to say, well, it was pretty damn close for some of those, but was it really more than last year? And what is your guys' vision on that?
I thought it was a lot more competitive And I remember coming into this, let's use an example. Cloud9, Reaper said that this would be a good thing. They talked about the fact that this would give them the experience necessary to be ready for a main stage. And I think they got exactly that.
Yeah.
Because they were very damn close based off of a Game 5 victory over Gambit.
Maybe cutting it a bit too close for comfort in terms of training.
Close to not even making it to the main stage.
Yeah, they were definitely cutting it close, but when I saw their Game 5 draft, I was like, oh, what a great Game 5 draft they won. Yeah. They kind of steamrolled over. So it's hard to say, and hopefully they're learning what drafts are good for them. But it was much closer than last year, where every Pool 1 team in their best of 5 basically smashed. EDG was 3-0, I believe. Fnatic was 3-0, and C9 was 3-0. And I think Supermassive was the only one that was a 3-1. And they were coming up from an emerging region that had managed to upset the 3rd seed HKA.
So here we go, then. We've got the draw. Of course, we have 2 seeds already that we know where they will end up. But we will go through with the group draw to make sure that everything is in order. There we go, then.
Yep, so we already know for sure that C9's Group B and GRX's Group D. They're still going to draw them.
Yeah. And I'm also a little confused exactly as to who is drawing, and for Shai is currently drawing. And oh yeah, now I recognize him. It was hard to see. So you cannot enter a group where there are already a team from your region in it. That's why we still go through the draw. There we have GRX, which will bounce through and automatically get put in the Fnatic Thunder Thieves IG group.
Yep, and so we kind of knew this one was coming, and I'm sure we'll get into breaking down all the groups for now, but I do think even heading into that group, they do feel like the underdogs, perhaps with 100 Thieves. We'll have to see how they match up.
It just makes it really fun watching the group play out. 100 Thieves, Fnatic, GRX, that all will seem up in the air. For me, the standout team is going to be Invictus Gaming, Rookie coming out. But Candy versus Rookie seems like already a pretty cool matchup to see.
Yeah, I wish there was a more like definitive through line for this group about like what matchups you want to see, because obviously you want to see the Shy, then you want to see Caps, you want to see probably Afro or Someday in the top lane, and for GRX probably Candy or Empty. So there's not quite all of them stacked up in the same spot.
And just to be clear, if C9 or G2 get drawn out, that means they go in Group A, I believe. That would be the first one up on the slate. And there we have.
There we go.
Oh, G2 gets what they did not want, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. I think they wanted to match up versus Team Liquid, actually, and KT and Mad. However, I do believe, I'm just going to wait on confirmation, because there we go, in Group A with the Freak of Freaks, Flash Wolves, and Buffalo.
And remember hearing the interview talking about, I think it was Wonder that said it, hearing rumors about Hwangwoo, Buffalo, not necessarily wanting to go up against them, because remember, this is a Vietnamese squad that is going to be aggressive, has a great top laner. And if you look towards Flash Wolves and Afrika, enough said, the top side of the match for a lot of these teams are going to be impressive.
This is a weird group to me, because
it's very odd.
Depending on how much you're buying into the hype, it's either impossible or it's very doable, because Hwangwoo, I've heard people say like, oh, they could be the top 4 team. So I'm going to hold my breath on Group A for now.
There we go with EDG, who will be placed into the group with Team Liquid, Mad, and KT. And that now becomes such a hard group for any team there, but I would say mostly for Mad and TL.
Yeah, I mean, TL definitely, NA fans collectively groaning when they see EDG joining their group, especially with how dominant they looked in the plains.
I mean, we knew it was coming, but when you then see it in the actual group graphic, you're like, all right, it's sinking in. This is not going to be easy. And just to make sure, this should, of course, be Cloud9, who will get updrawn, as it was written in the stars, into the group of death with Gen.G, RNG, and Vitality.
So people were all watching plans to see how it'd shake up, if there would be that extra team. Maybe GRX would be taken out of the equation. An extra play-in team comes in. So at least there's some hope for North America, and for Cloud9 in particular. Cloud9 is going to be put in a really rough position. I think they come out with a very clear condition, pretty early game heavy. I want to see how they fare up against Gen.G and RNG, 2 great team fighters. They could make a break for it in the early portions of the game.
Alrighty, so yeah, what's our first reactions? I think, of course, we kind of would have, or NA fans would have hoped that EDG would have gone to the other side, but yeah, it's going to be very tricky in that group.
I mean, in that sense, all of the West is kind of upset, because I think a lot of people would, on the European side, prefer G2 to go up against Team Liquid as a chance to get out of Group C. And at the same time, Team Liquid fans feel the same way. They would prefer G2 over EDG. So no matter what, I think the West is a little disappointed in the group draw.
Yeah.
That being said, one thing that I really like about Team Liquid as a team, if you hear from Double Lift a lot of the times, they're a team that never, like the whole never give up attitude. Like, if they are in a deficit, they're a team in North America that can claw their way back in. And remember, the whole issue with Edward Gaming and internationals in the past has been playing a little bit more relaxed when they have a large lead. So for me, that's going to be the matchup to watch in that group.
Yeah, let's maybe start by talking now that we have already about that Group C. So as said already, TL, Tricky, then EDG. With the things that you've seen from EDG and as the LPL expert, and that one stumble versus Infinity, do you think this could come back to bite them and to haunt them in a group like this, or do you think they match up pretty good?
Remember, Team Liquid are great team fighters.
Yeah.
So I think that the whole comeback mechanic is still there. So that being said, if we're just talking about a lane by lane, I would give EDG the edge, specifically the mid lane. I think that Scout versus Pobelter is something that we should watch out for because Scout's just been incredible during the play-in stage. Really was in a league of his own, and he should have just fit really well in the main stage. So mid lane jungle is something we're going to be watching out for. Perhaps Xmithy's going to be able to come out because he is the best Western jungler. I know a lot of people are going to be having a debate between him and Broxa. But currently, I thought Xmithy is performing very well for himself. So it's going to be mid lane jungle oriented. I think bottom lane is everyone wants to see the matchup between iBoy, Double Lift, Mako, Ole, if that ends up going well. But I think EDG should have the early game. And we'll see how the team fights end up because EDG has been kind of opened up in team fights regionally.
I feel like we're completely glossing over KT because we already know that they're like, we don't need to talk about it.
Jad said yesterday that he has them pegged as the winners of the World Championship, which is of course not a very controversial opinion at that. But yeah, it seems like, is it really that clear cut to you? Is it all for the number 2, or do you think EDG should be logically the team that is most likely to get it, even though we don't know the relative strength level of Mad at all?
Mad's a bit of the question mark to me, but after seeing GRX get through in the play-ins relatively convincingly, I do have a bit of hope for them to put up a good fight against all these teams.
Final note before we go over to the interview, sorry, is TL getting out of this group then?
I say no unless EDG does what they did in 2017.
All right.
I would say no as well, but for Mad, people should look towards, once again, Kongyu and the mid lane jungle synergy. I think that should be something to look for, but they have it rough in this group. They would come out last.
All right, we'll go over the next, or the other groups in just a second, but for more on the win of GRX earlier, I would like to hear from Avali and one of their players.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with GRX's Candy. Congratulations on that close series. Now, I really want to point out your career because you have come such a long way in just the past year. You went from failing to qualify for the LCK in spring with CJ Entis to now moving on to the group stage of Worlds. So please tell me a little bit about your journey and what this moment really means to you.
네, 우선 승리 정말 축하드리고요. 우선 커리어적인 것에 대해서 여쭤보고 싶은데 CJ 엔투스에서 정말 승격을 못하는 그런 아픔도 겪고 나서 지금은 월드 챔피언십 그룹 스테이지에 진출하셨습니다. 이 긴 여정이 어떤 의미를 갖고 있을까요?
일단은 제가 프로게이머 생활을 하면서 3번의 승강전을 했는데 다 떨어져가지고 그런 걸 겪다 보니까 약간 안 될 그건가 그런 생각도 많이 안 좋게 많이 생각했는데 GRX라는 팀에 들어가게 돼가지고 이렇게 롤드컵까지 진출을 해서 정말 너무 뜻깊은 것 같아요.
So during my pro gamer career, I've been to 3 promotions. Every time I failed, so the negative thoughts like should I just give up always got me. But after joining GRX, now I am the group stage, so it's so happy.
And the team seemed a little bit nervous coming into today's games, but when it came down to it, it looks like everyone stepped forward, and especially you, almost the star of the show on so many different champions. So really, how did everyone manage to stay calm and take the close series?
사실 경기 전에 GRX 선수분들이 조금 긴장된 그런 모습도 보였고 특히 캔디 선수는 정말 주인공 역할인 여러 챔프를 많이 하셨는데 그럼 팀원 전체적으로 어떻게 그런 긴장감을 좀 잘 컨트롤하고 경기에 임하셨나요?
사실 다른 팀원들은 모르겠고 저는 오늘 좀 긴장을 했어요. 왜냐면은 BO5란 그 많이 최소 3판 이상 해야 되는 경기인데 거의 1년 동안 해본 적이 없어가지고 왜냐면은 그 LMS 정규 시즌 때는 저 다른 미드 정글에 한 명 더 있어가지고 그래가지고 이번에 좀 긴장을 했는데 되게 팀원들이 실수할 때마다 좀 다독여줘가지고 잘 할 수 있었던 것 같아요.
So basically, I was nervous before game because it was best of 5. It means I have to play at least 3 games, and he has never experienced it in the past year because he always had the submit laner, so he never experienced it in the LMS league. But today he was so nervous. But every time he made mistake, all the teammates were like, "It's okay, you're doing good." So he was able to kind of keep calm and chill and move on.
Will you be moving back to best of ones in the group stage, in which you will be placed into Group D along with 100 Thieves, Fnatic, and IG? So what do you really think are the strengths of that group, and how are you going to match up?
네, 이제 그룹 D에 편성돼서 다시 단판제를 치를 건데요. IG, 프나틱, 100 띠부즈를 만날 겁니다. 네, 그 전력을 어떻게 생각하시고 또 거기서 어떻게 활약하실 것 같은가요?
사실 되게 힘들 것 같아요. 되게 힘들 것 같지만 그래도 최선을 다해서 몇 세트라도 따내는 게 저희한테는 좀 의미 부여가 좀 될 것 같아요.
I can say it's gonna be a big challenge, but I want to get as many victories that I can get.
Well, Candy, thank you and the best of luck to you. That's it for us here. Back to you.
Thank you very much. There are some words from Candy, how nervous they actually were. And I mean, we talk so statistical and a narrative about these players, but at the end of the day, you know, it's such a huge thing for those players to get to the group stage. You said, well, often we failed or we didn't make it, I got subbed out or whatnot. Wonderful that they did it for GRX and the LMS.
At the end of the day, it's a little weird, but it is a very human sport still, even though we're a step removed playing through keyboards and mice, and you don't see them but more than on the player cams, but they really do, you know, get those gut-clenching moments. We've heard about Jensen and all these other guys, Perks, they all get nervous.
Yeah, and it will happen all again for the group stage. So let's continue with our discussion about the groups, and let's go now from Group A through the rest that we haven't talked about yet. So let's start with Africa Freaks, Flash Wolves. I have a hard time pronouncing Pyongbu Buffalo and G2 Esports. So then, let's start with what we've seen most recently, G2's performance throughout play-ins and the best of 5 and how they will do in this group.
So I think we saw enough to say that they're a great top laner. This is what I want to see. I want to see Wonder go up against Keen, who I think is probably the best top laner in the East. So we got East versus West there. I'm really excited about that. The rest of the team feels pretty up and down. Hjarnan stepped up a couple times today, but also lost some of his lanes. Same with Perks as well. Jankos was either ineffective or had some great early games. All around, I think the thing that defines this group for me is like how erratic it could be. Because Africa Freaks were sometimes up and down in their own region. Vietnam as a whole is just sometimes absolutely crazy. And then you have
Pyongbu Buffalo.
No.
Oh, no, you just mentioned them. Flash Wolves.
Flash Wolves.
It's a lot of teams.
Historically, sometimes choke at Worlds. They didn't get out last year. They were 1-5, and the one win they had was the upset win. So, like, this group, from how people are hyping it up, will be very difficult, but I could easily see a world where it goes completely the other direction.
I would say group stage-wise, just before you get into Flash Wolves at MSI, surprised, I think, many with how they cleaned up and with some of the new members, how they came into the best of ones. So they should be a fierce competitor.
For me, Betty is going to be that member because that's what we saw was a stand-up performer at MSI for Flash Wolves. And so Betty versus Hjarnan is going to be a point that we should watch out for. And I think that now that the team has really gone back towards MMD, I want to see what the style looks like for the team, that they're going to be playing towards more team fighting around Maple in the mid lane, and then maybe a lot more around Betty. It's a lot more standard play that we're seeing from them. So I think Flash Wolves and Africa Freaks are the go-to. And with Keen, I just want to see what he's willing to pick in the top side. I know a lot of people are just bored as hell seeing Aatrox and Urgot. Maybe he just conforms, but when it comes to Keen, he is much more willing to go towards like a carry top.
Quinn, whatever he's feeling.
Craziness.
Fiora is an option lately, so I want to see if that's something he picks up.
Gut feeling, without seeing any games, it does feel like an Africa Freaks Flash Wolves getting out there, or do you guys disagree?
I think so, just based off the recency of what we saw out of Flash Wolves at MSI and the fact that they continue to do extremely well in their own region. But they do historically do well at MSI and then do poorly at Worlds, but I don't want to lean too far into that. I do think that those are the two favorites.
Let's move over to Group B, the impossible one to predict, honestly. Gen.G, RNG, Vitality, and Cloud9.
I just don't know who's going out of this one.
I feel like they have to make a joke out of it because Gen.G and RNG are so good. But I think that for RNG, I think we can definitely still say that. Also the MSI winners and whatnot. I'm obviously not counting Gen.G out at all, but it is, again, that story of like coming through the gauntlet and not being at the top of their game yet. They did that last year as well, and then they won the World Championship. So what are we thinking?
I think that while I will go the same track and say that Gen.G and RNG will come out of this group, this is usually the type of group that messes people up in their pick'ems. Because you have Vitality and Cloud9 that are both crazy teams early on in the game. Like if they come in with Blabber, and I think they should, and if Vitality with their same playstyle, if Jizuke comes off, and I think he will, then these games, they will get games. There will be no 0-6. You know, clip it right now. There's no team going in 0-6 on this
But
group.
at best, we're looking at a 2-4 for the Western teams?
Yes, and so I think that consistency in team fights will be what Gen.G and RNG provide, and they'll come out. But this is going to be a crazy group.
For now, a realistic yet depressing reality for Western teams. Mark, do you have any good news
At least
for
we
us?
have fun. We can pull out the popcorn.
Yeah.
It's not going to be end too.
You have some good news for us or what? What's going on?
What you got?
No, nothing. Really racking my brain.
Well, well, possibly. Let's go over to Group D then. So, Fnatic, 100 Thieves, IG, and GRX. Now, with the addition of GRX, I think this was already a cool group. This is like a cool group because you have a lot to build off of, but I think there's more uncertainty than in the other groups. And I say that for a couple of reasons. Fnatic, hyped through the roof, smashing Europe, of course, this year, but you don't really know when it comes to these best of ones in groups. IG, such a hyped up team, should be the best team in that group, but last time we saw them internationally and with Rookie, it also went to the wayside. However, it looks like this is a different story. GRX seem to be able to do a lot of things when they get an early lead. 100 Thieves, same story if they get a good game. So I don't know. You guys make sense of it to me.
With Invictus Gaming, the international audience will not know them very well because you're right, the last time they saw them internationally was when they had Cacao as a jungler.
A long time ago.
It was quite a while back. So in the LPL, they were known as the most consistent team in the regular season. The regular season, they had some incredibly, like, their stats are crazy. In fact, they only lost 2 series out of both splits. And so that's something that we should watch out for, the fact that they're very crazy, incredibly bloody as a team. They'll fight you early. And so I have them coming out at the top of the group. I have them coming out first.
Rightfully so, I believe.
So I think this is actually the most fun group probably to watch for just a general Western audience because you finally get EU and NA fighting for something that kind of matters in a sense where it feels like
could be second
in Group
place,
A and Group C, they're not in there against each other. Group B, it feels like, all right, well, have fun battling for third. But Fnatic and 100 Thieves hopefully feel like they're both actually battling for second a little bit. I think Perks versus Rookie is going to be insane to watch just in general as well.
You did this. You did it again.
I always
This
mess
man.
up
Do you know
Yes,
the
I do
difference
know.
between
You're
Captain
just trying to
Perks?
tilt
Yes.
talks. I know you're trying to.
I'm not trying to.
You keep doing
It just comes out too much.
Yeah.
Caps versus Rookie is going to be super duper fun to watch.
Yeah, it will be. So, in summary, IG, strongest team, should be #1. Is it then a 2-horse race or a 3-horse race? Because I don't think we should count out GRX just yet.
I was about to say that GRX and 100 Thieves are turning out to be great team fighters. And if that's what's going to be coming through from both 100 Thieves and GRX, the issue is that Invictus Gaming as a squad tend to change everything, or at least really start to falter versus team fighting. Versus the ARAM playstyle of 100 Thieves, I think that's going to be an issue.
Yeah, I think the other problem for both GRX and 100 Thieves is Fnatic, despite not having like great gold leads, you know, so you're like, oh, they're not a great early game team. They're actually fantastic at closing games out, and that's my concern if I'm a 100 Thieves fan is like, we're best in the mid to late game, and Fnatic's usually closing it out by then. So you don't feel like you have a great matchup in your own group against IG or Fnatic. GRX you do have a good matchup against, but you're going to have to find some wins elsewhere.
So, $1 million question. Up until now, we've got LPL, Korea, and LMS getting out of the groups. That's it. Tell me who your two teams are for this team.
IG Fnatic, I am sorry, NA, I did not predict anyone to get out. My B.
For me, I have Invictus Gaming and,
He's looking for a controversial opinion again because he's usually right.
He's got some good profit.
He's actually
sometimes
really good at predicting what will happen.
You need like the cosmic energy to come to you. Like what's channeling?
I think this is like
I'm sorry for anybody,
it's almost a curse.
For anybody that watches reads my Twitter, I'm probably gonna flip flop at some point because 100 Thieves always gets me as a team because they're the team that got memed the most with so many question marks, but obviously came to Korea and started boot camping as a team. So I think they have a much higher high that they're showing. That being said, IG Fnatic.
Yeah. I think this represents well how, with like all the hype in Fnatic and whatnot, you never freaking know in a best-of-1 group stage, and crazier things have happened. I also put a lot of stock into Aframu personally, because he's kind of like this guy, you know, at MSI with CLG, they made it all the way to the final. I'm very happy that he's back on the international stage.
Yeah, Aframu's leadership, but I think that like there are going to be some key roles to look at. top lane has Someday and the Shy. I think Someday should have some great games for 100 Thieves. And then if you look towards Soaz, I think obviously the top laner is a big point. And then if you look towards the mid lane, you already mentioned Caps versus Rookie. So there are so many iconic matchups to watch in this group if you have any interest there. And then I think PK and Candy will come into their own once they get into this group. People have already seen a sneak peek of their play during the play-in group stage. So there are a lot of great individual matchups that should convert into a win for some.
We can talk about this forever, and I'm definitely super, super hyped for that. And if you wanted to know my vote, I think IG and Fnatic are going to get out because, like, duh.
Come on.
If you wanted to meme that, whatever. However, you mentioned a couple of those players that were doing great, and there were a lot of standout performances. If we pull up our MasterCard players of the game, why are you giggling?
My producer joked in my ear about something.
Oh, there we go.
About never mind. So for GRX versus Supermassive, they were Snowflower, Stitch twice, and then PK on Ornn. So there we go.
Yeah, Stitch had some great games. And I think the one with Snowflower could have gotten 2 games because his Rakan really came out ahead. So
it tells the story of the series very well, though.
Exactly. The bottom lane was a primary focus in the end game. The last one, PK off of his Ornn pick. So I think that a lot of the games did come down toward the bottom lane, and the tank ended up winning, I suppose.
Yeah.
That's how that story ends.
We do have to go the other MasterCard players. You can talk in seconds. So
okay.
Here, it's there.
You got nothing, son.
For
I'm taking the
G2 Esports
tap.
versus Infinity, I'm sorry, I just want to like get this out there so that you can talk about what you like. Arce, Jankos, Wonder, and Hjarnan. This also kind of paints the picture of what happened, you know. Arce and Infinity with that awesome game 1, then Jankos with the strong early game, Wonder with the Urgot all over, and Hjarnan in the end carrying the game. So there we go.
Yeah, and I think Wonder definitely performed super well every single game. Huge CS leads, probably player of the series, but at different points, other people had more impactful games, I guess, in the turnout, especially that last game, Hjarnan really silencing a lot of people with a very good Jhin performance.
And I cut you off before, so what would you like to say?
I was going to say the second series just, I thought the meta that developed was something we can expect to see more of over the group stage, where it felt like a lot of the other ones were like, here's Aatrox, Urgot, let's try and play some shenanigans and see what counters them. And then they were both just like, no, ban, play other things.
To that point, I think that the series we just mentioned too, where Hjarnan got onto the Jhin pick, and that really started to play through. When you got to see more of the Jhin playing out, in the which is a good counter, or at least you can play into the Kai'Sa with that. Good range there. If you have a bruiser top lane or an assassin mid, then you can really start to play through mid towards the bottom lane. There is a good adaptation that I know a lot of the teams in the main stage will be watching and start to be picking ideas.
Yeah, it's always the question if you come to that first game, if they're like going to play kind of their own meta, what they did with their scrim partners, if they're going to take things from play-in, if we're going to see some things completely different. It's always very exciting. And the play-ins were also plenty exciting. A lot of explosive moments transpired. You also made sure to tweet out which were large enough to be deemed an Acer Predator big play. First up, Trichromatic had a lovely poem to describe his feelings towards the C9 support. C9 is blue, Gambit is red, Zazal's a beast. I'm going to bed. I feel you, buddy.
Let's hit it. Yeah, okay.
We can look at I can't tank that easily, so Shen.
Wait, Shen,
do we want to look at turret?
Yeah.
Just turn it off.
He has no flash, right?
Yeah,
no
I'm
flash.
looking, I'm turning, I'm turning.
Here. Yeah.
I got it. Finish him, finish him. Mouse, nice job, guys.
It was very far away the screen, so I couldn't exactly see what
It was his famous flash play.
Oh, yeah.
It won them the game 5.
Yes, it did. Sorry. There's been like 42 games. Excuse me for that.
Can't remember all of them.
No. Next up, Sir Ordinary figured Zeitnot wasn't fine settling with a quadra kill in game 1 versus GRX.
Stillmage getting knocked back, almost drunk under the table on that one by the explosive cast. Zeitnot's on the bottom of the fight. He starts off real quick with 1. Stitch forced to back out. There's the double kill already as Zeitnot continues to pile it on. The shock and awe from Supermassive is just too much for GRX. Fabulous not stopping for the turret this time. There's the Quadra. Oh my God, the Quadra into a penta for Zeitnot.
I believe that is the only time at Worlds someone got a triple kill, a quadra kill, and a pentakill. I stole this from Jat. We were trying to double check it. Not 100% confirmed, so if I'm wrong, tweet at Jat.
Yeah.
But
aren't you Jat? Who are you?
I'm the budget Jat.
There we go.
Oh, God. Okay, last one. Finally, Roberts number 49 said what we were all thinking. What an outplay by G2 Wonder.
I want to do it, okay?
You want to do it?
You're gonna die, it's fine. You just stop blue dunk, buddy, you just stop blue dunk. You can tank it, stop blue dunk. Okay. I'm gonna 1v2. Okay.
Nice, good job.
Push me, Zin died. Can you fight now as well, yeah? I'll push top, I can buff the way.
Holy shit. Too bad, okay? They'll move too bad. They'll try to look.
I read on social that we apparently didn't give enough credit to Wonder for the outplay specifically. Because I remember we were watching and you said, well, yeah, it was an outplay, but actually Aatrox could have also killed Urgot.
I mean, it's true. Like, if you just press R, like I said, at the top of the day, you get the bonus AD at that point, which is pretty massive, and you probably kill him right away. But Wonder did have to play that super well to punish the fact that he wasn't doing that.
Yeah, the entire series, too, I felt like Wonder was the standout performer for
crazy.
G2. So give him Urgot. Give him Aatrox.
Don't do that.
Keep giving it to him.
If you're watching,
if you're a G2 fan.
Group A.
Yeah. There you go. I don't know if they're watching us. Well, who knows? Anyway, make sure that you guys are tweeting with that hashtag #BigPlays all tournament long so that we don't miss a single one of the big moments of Worlds 2018. So then, we return Wednesday, October 10th at 1 a.m. PST, 10 a.m. CEST with the Worlds group stage in Busan. And look at that schedule. Man, you know, we thought we already had a lot of action, but it's really all kicking off now. KT versus Team Liquid is our first game.
So don't go to sleep. I'm just talking about the people in North America, 1 a.m., just so you could watch Team Liquid versus KT. Just get a view of that one.
I agree. And then EDG versus Mad, Boom Boom Buffalo. I'm going to get it someday. Flash Wolves, and then Freaka Freaks versus G2 Esports, RNG Cloud9, Gen G Vitality. It's like Christmas, isn't it? World group stage.
And I think you're going to see a lot of interesting things early on, especially Group A. I'm actually really interested in the Fung Fu Buffalo matchup versus Flash Wolves because I want to see if the hype that we're hearing behind the scenes lives up for both of these teams, and that should answer it right away, not just like who wins, but how the actual game looks in terms of skill level.
Is there an upset on day one?
For sure. Like, I has to be
Call it.
Oh my goodness.
I have to
you
see
know
the
what?
schedule again.
All right, you know what? I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm saying it. I'm not gonna say who it is. I'm not gonna. You're just gonna have to tune in to my pick'ems. You know, but I think that
plug in yourself.
What's going to be real fun, I think it's going to happen at the back end because that's when we're going to see Group B playing out their games. And I would love to see Cloud9 versus RNG, Vitality. I think those are the ones that are really spicy. That once again, I said that we're not going to be seeing 0 and 6 in that group. We may still see the top of it, like Gen G and RNG are still the best in that one, but I still think there's a lot of fighting in the bottom half.
Yeah, so everyone call in sick Tuesday.
Yep.
Or Monday morning when the games end, your boss will probably be in work. You can call up. I can't come in. I was watching LOL all night.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, there we go. I'd also like to thank you two, by the way, for being my analysts. You know, it was not as scary as I thought working with an NA analyst, Mark.
You've worked with NA analysts before. What do you mean?
I'm just kidding. I'm working in because people say I bully you, which I don't. I just want to thank you both. Raz, lovely as always, and Mark Z also, yeah, fantastic job. I hope we entertained you guys at home as well. We definitely had a lot of fun and just fun covering all of the teams. It were some fantastic storylines, but that's going to do it from us for Play. And so for myself, the casters, the entire live broadcast crew, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in Busan for groups.
Game one now in front of us. G2 on the blue side, Infinity on the red. Which form of both of these teams? That is the #1 question on our minds as we head into our first game in this series. Hjarnan as well, and Solid Snake wants to disrupt it. Knock it back into the team, and this is the team fight Infinity wanted.
A la bowling. Lo jalé. Ayúdame. A la casa, huevo.
Bien. Perks is here. Perks is ready to save the day. That's 1 kill going down. He's pointing, he's clicking, and Kotobaku wants something so badly. Wonder now running for his life. He doesn't really have any other options out. Wants to pull him back. He's gonna get the fear off. Wonder is still alive. He's still looking for the Oh my God! Wonder needs to find a flank to the backside, but he simply cannot. He may give his life as well. Taking out Solid Snake is Hjarnan. Continuing to cut through. Hjarnan is going off in the fight. They simply cannot kill it. Kaisa.
Oh, but Solid Snake has found Jankos.
Level 6 to level 4. Jankos just dies. Perks trying to find his way into the back line, but he takes so much damage back. He changes the beautiful Aurelion. Dash through, pull back. There's the fear. There's the reset. Oh my God.
I'll kill off.
Nice. Everything stood against them in this game, from the draft to the execution, but in the final moments, G2 make it count.
Supermassive, GRX really did, I think, impress a lot of people throughout the group stage.
TBM finally going in. Here comes Snowflower, gets the flash, the grand entrance. patience and a charm. It's going to be a hit out on it, too. That's the jungler. No, Candy is going to get himself taken down to possible penalty. Now coming in here for Stitch. PK's the next one to get hit. There's the quadra kill.
Pentakill, pentakill. Nice. I think mid.
Oh, they're onto the back line. And trying to get away is Stitch. He goes down immediately. Stomage getting off front of the turret. Koala's going to be the next one to go to possibly as Empty gets pulled in. A Fear Beyond Death. GRX starts to go low. Fear Beyond Death gets onto Candy, but he is able to resurrect with World Ender. Stitch goes in. The Caspian Rain gets the double kill.
It's okay, it's okay. Nice.
Candy very low. There's the second dash in. DBM doesn't have much more damage, and he goes down to Candy.
GRX take the game, finishing it out and putting themselves at match point.
Shield your eyes from the ornographic material. Stomage is going to be going down. Stitch, Koala, and PK to put the finishing touches on the game. They know they've got it. GRX has to feel fantastic. They're going to be making it to the main stage.